Spicer holding a news conference a short time ago. It's the latest thing we've gotten out of the White House over Korea, North Korea, Syria, where the president stands on that. And, quite frankly, they're saying, listen, we're done bending over backwards. It's a failed policy of strategic patience. I thought the vice president put that so well yesterday. And we're just done. By the way, it's our Twitter poll today. If you get a chance, Tony Colombo's already put this up on the website. At Mark Cox 971, at Tony Colombo 971. We'll, of course, tweet it out from our FM News Talk 97.1 Twitter page as well. We want to know what you think the United States should do next regarding North Korea. Is it to boost military strikes like military presence like we've been doing? Is it a military strike? Is it forcing the Chinese, leveraging them for some more help, which they oddly didn't supply much of during the Obama years? Or is it to try to work through the United Nations for a solution? So give us your vote on that. Of course, we'll have the results for you this hour tomorrow on the show. We'll get Tony Colombo in here. So be sure and retweet that. Share it with your friends and neighbors. Let's see what folks in St. Louis think about this situation in North Korea. It's got a lot of people unnerved right now. One of the questions at the press briefing today was, wow, we've heard that in Hawaii they're reviewing plans for a strike from North Korea. I guess. I mean, so far they can't barely get a rocket off of a launching pad. I think there's a little bit of intention to blow up the threat more than it is from that distance. But regardless, it's got people nervous. To the point, it's got some people a little nervous. Coming up a little later this hour, we'll get Tony Colombo in here. We're going to talk to Tom Twellman Jr., of course, the folks from the hair salon. But they've got a special for Tax Day coming up because, Tax Day can be painful. It's like when they cut you a little too close to the scalp. When you're getting a haircut, you kind of feel like you've been scalped. They don't do that at hair salon. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying for a lot of people, that's what tax day is like. It's like getting a buzz cut. But they'll give you whatever kind of haircut you want. We'll get Tom in here and talk to him about that, and maybe we can talk to him about soccer and some other things when we get in here in a few minutes. Right now, we're going to talk about the great state of Illinois. I could call it a state of confusion sometimes when you look at what's gone on over there with this budget, because they've been trying to figure this out since Bruce Rauner got elected. It seems like. Ted Dabrowski is our guest from the Illinois Policy Institute. Ted, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, Mark. Thank you. Hey,
thanks for giving me some time today. I appreciate that. I had Annie Fry in here the other day. We were talking about this last week, and she said, her taxes, her school district just had to raise their taxes. They had to let the people vote on it, and I think they approved a tax increase because the state is starving them of resources because they can't get their act together.
Well, it's certainly true that the state can't get its act together. There's a lot of debate about whether places are starving for money or whether the money's being improperly spent all over the place.
Sure.
But certainly we've had chaos and a mess for nearly 2 years. We can't agree on a budget. We can't. I think bottom line is we can't agree that it's the first time in a long time that the legislature should manage how it spends money. For a long time, they've held the taxpayer hostage, just keeps taxing more and more, spending more and more. And this is the first time that somebody like Rauner said, no, we want to do it a different way, and we got a stalemate going.
Well, there's a lot of different versions of, supposedly a couple of weeks ago, they were on the verge of some sort of a compromise, but even that, the Republicans had to agree to raise taxes to get a compromise with these people on the left. And there was an article in the Post-Dispatch here today in St. Louis kind of highlighting why the cuts Bruce Rauner wants to make are so difficult on the state of Illinois, because really once you've given somebody something for free, taking it away from them again makes you a bad person. That seems to be the logic behind their argument.
Well, you got to go back and say, hey, this place has been run for nearly 30 years or more than 30 years by a guy named Mike Madigan. He's certainly been in control for a long, long time. And if you look at the trajectory of Illinois, the out-migration that's been going on for a long time, the decline in income, stagnant wages, the taxes and where they've gone, and the spending and where it's gone, it's been a long time coming that this is happening. But now you finally got a little bit of a battle between Rauner and Madigan trying to slow down that spending and actually look at spending reform and reduction in taxes. I think that Rauner's on the right side. The question is going to be, how much power we can have in negotiating. Look, we've got the highest property taxes in the nation. We've got some of the highest when you add up state and local. We've got the highest taxes in the Midwest, and we've seen people leave. So it's time that we reverse that. And it's ironic we talk about it on tax day or coming up on tax day, but people are feeling the pain.
Yeah, I know that there have been some people at the Senate level in Illinois who've been trying to figure a way to do this without a tax increase, but I mean, quite frankly, the bottom line is that as much as we're frustrated with the likes of Madigan and the other people that are leading the Democratic Party, there's no end run here. You can't get anything passed without their agreement.
No, that's right, and I think that's why I think it's great that two senators, Kyle McCarter and Dan McConkey, came out with a plan that said, look, we don't want to raise taxes $7 billion. We're going to look at spending reforms and make government figure out how to spend money better. And, not by cutting things that hurt people, but by just doing it more efficiently. We've got so much government bloat in Illinois. We've got the most units of local government. We've got these school districts that are duplicative, overlapping. All that stuff could be reduced, and you'd have a lot more money going for services, for school districts. There'd just be a lot more money. But right now, it's tied up in pensions and it's tied up in bureaucracy.
It strikes me that, and maybe this is a too simplistic way to look at it, but a lot of the blame is focused on the northern part of the state because, the state seems to run around Chicago, what the people in Chicago want, it's obviously the population center. The people in southern Illinois often feel like their vote doesn't count. They can never get enough people in the legislature to make a difference. But those sort of cuts that get people's attention, maybe it brings them back to reality of some sort. I don't mean to be cruel, but at some point you've got to stop the bleeding. They don't seem to be willing to stop the bleeding.
Well, I think there's a lot of politics going on, as you know, and anything that's put out by one side is attacked by the other. But if you do a cold, hard look at the facts, and if you're skeptical at all of Illinois politics, then you know that there's a lot of corruption, there's a lot of waste, there's a lot of duplication, and it's because the bureaucracies have taken care of each other for so long that there's tons of money tied up there. And it's amazing how much we pay. I was looking at one of the community colleges. You would expect a community college to have low cost of labor, that the administration would not be paid so much so that you could make it affordable for kids.
Right.
Well, Lewis and Clark Community College, the total compensation for the head there was $540,000 in 2014. College of DuPage, $500,000 for that person, $400,000 at Illinois Central College. That kind of executive pay, and then the $5 to $7 to $8 million pensions that go with it during the course of the retirements. Well, no wonder we can't make college affordable for kids, because we've got it all locked up in bureaucrats.
I saw somebody suggest, and I wouldn't be surprised if this isn't intentional, there are people who think this impasse may not end. It may run right into the governor's election in 2018 so that they can make hay out of it, correct? Well,
yeah, I think really, if we can't get anything done now, it's really going to be both sides looking for a mandate in 2018. Hey, do we do it through spending reforms the way that, Rauner and others have fought, and McCarter and McConkey and these senators, no tax hikes but spending reforms? Or, if the Democrats come in and sweep again, then they'll have the mandate to do a massive increase in taxes. And that's the scary part. If that happens, I think you're going to see more outmigration, more pain.
Yeah, the migration of people leaving. Didn't Illinois have one of the highest rates of people leaving the state?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's us and New York. They're two states that are losing lots of people to other areas. And I think, we're living in a global digital age, and people can move pretty easily, right? And they can go to Houston, or they can go to Atlanta or Florida, and it's happening.
Ted Dabrowski is our guest from the Illinois Policy Institute. What about the pension threats? Because I know that there's two separate. There's the ones in the city of Chicago, and then the state has its own pension problems. Correct?
Correct. So we just added up all the liabilities across the state, both local pensions, state pensions, county pensions, et cetera, and it totals up to be $267 billion, which is a massive number, not understandable number, but we do it by household. And each household in Illinois is on the hook for $56,000 in debt over the next 3 decades. So if you stick around Illinois, in addition to the normal taxes you're going to pay, you're going to have to pay $56,000 more just to pay down that pension debt.
There was talk at one time, not all that long ago, about the state having to get some sort of a bailout. Would that come from the federal taxpayer?
Well, that's, there was Governor Quinn, sent his people, and I think he went as well to D.C. and when Obama first came in and was looking to see whether he could work out some kind of bailout for Illinois. That's scary if you're a well-run state. Right?
Sure.
If you're a state that has made the hard decisions, that have balanced your budget, made sure that you take care of your finances, and then what? You're going to bail out Illinois, and well, then if you bail out Illinois, imagine California. They're going to put their hands up, and you'll have all those states that are mismanaged looking for a bailout. And I think it'd be a huge battle between those well-run states who say no way and the ones who want a handout.
Well, Ted Dabrowski, I tell you what, keep up the good work at the Illinois Policy Institute, because somebody has to carry some common sense to them and keep their feet to the fire over there till they get this figured out. What is the website where people can go to find out more about what you do?
You can go to illinoispolicy.org or look up Illinois Policy Institute on Facebook. Very good.
Ted, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Mark.
I appreciate that. Wanted to talk to Ted about that when I saw that article in the Post today, because it's a microcosm of what we see on the national level. If you go to Washington and you want to cut any program, you're taking money away from this poor person. You're taking money away from this person who needs it. And any reduction in planned increases is called a cut. And we just got to get away from that. Illinois' got a horrendous problem on their hands here, and there don't seem to be any adults in the state who want to deal with it. If you couldn't handle your own budget like that at home, why are they allowed to get away with that in these state houses? I don't understand it. All right.